Beauty standards for Black women is crazy, but let's talk about it. Ladies, we all know that when it comes to Black women for beauty standards, it's always all over the place. And we can go from being excluded from things, what is expected from us, and all the different things. But we're going to have a conversation about it to just kind of open up and have dialogue and see what kind of conclusions we can come to. But first up, how are you? How you been doing? How's life? What's been going on so far? Ooh, a lot's been going on in the world, but we we know what's going on. We know where we fit, and we know how we gonna move forward in the world and whatnot. But as of right now, your girl is still resting. I don't know about you, but there's a lot going on in the world. But I feel like certain things that are going on right now is just not my fight. I can fight in other ways, like when it's time for the midterms come around, when it's time for that voting, I can do my part there. Definitely can talk to your local senates in your house and all that good stuff and your legislation and but that's the whole big thing. But talking to folks, yes, you can do that. However, what's going on right now is a result of the vote. Of the vote. Well, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that. But nevertheless, what else has been going on a lighter note? Your girl has finally gotten a website for us. A website. Now, I've always had a blog. I've always had a space where I've where I have written articles and just did some like blog posts and whatnot, and then I kind of like shared other links and things like that for like products I may like and so forth and so on. But I created a website because I wanted a bigger home for us. A blog is something kind of like a room. And I wanted to build a house where we can have different rooms because I really want to share so much that I have inside of me. And I'm going to do a separate video on what I'm getting ready to talk about in regards to things I want to share with you guys. Like I'm going to have a free ebook coming out soon. Yes, 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 yes. I'm working really hard, y'all. Really, really hard. But and I want to do like workshops later on. I want to collab with some people. I've been having conversation, behind the scenes about that. So just kind of give you a spill what's going on and little courses for us so we can do things, you know, how can I say this? Self-pace, where if you want to work on things in your life. I know for me, I've learned so much going through therapy, and my therapist has even said to me, Kelly, do it, do it. And this is how I got to where I am now, because baby, me sharing things that's going on in my life and sharing things on how I've got through so many things would have been like, no, we ain't doing it. But my therapist has definitely put the battery in my back to go forward. I'm going to have a whole separate like video. So those of you who are listening, if you're not following me on YouTube, go ahead and follow me on YouTube because I'm going to be sharing a little tidbit on why sometimes your hobby is not your passion. And we sometimes want to turn our hobbies into our passion to just make passive income. But in saying all of that, I had to make a real big pivot, and it was hard for me. It was so hard, but I'm so happy I did the pivot, and I'm so happy that we are here, and we're gonna just move on and have this conversation. And let me tell you something. I had went out on Friday, this past Friday, and I was speaking to some women, and the young lady had said to me, she said, you seem so calm. Is this like your demeanor? And I said to her, I said, in this environment that we're in right now, absolutely. She said, but you have a very calm voice about you. She said, do you have a podcast? And I was like, I was like, I do. She said, you have a really nice voice. And I was like, I've heard that before only since I've had the podcast. But when I'm just speaking to people, no one has never told me that. But I guess it comes off when you get like in a calmer environment or when you actually put yourself in that space, if that makes any sense. So that's what we have coming up. We have the website. I'm going to leave the website down below. It is still iamKeliB. And you'll see how we have all the components up there of a website. We have the blog is separate off to the side. I'm giving you an introduction of all the ebooks that's going to be coming up that I'm working on. And yeah, it's just going to be a really, really nice a nice place for us. And I just can't wait for the first ebook. That's going to be free. It's going to be free. So I can't wait for it. So go ahead, go over there and sign up, leave your email. So when I roll everything out, you get that email sent to you. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. So let's get into it. So, how I boosted my confidence in changing my beauty standards as a Black woman. Okay. Because, yes, a lot of women out here have brush cuts and things like that. A lot of women, do their own thing and the way they want to feel. If it's, you know, wearing extensions, wearing braids, wearing locks, whatever the case may be. We all have our own thing. Wearing makeup, not wearing makeup. Hey, I fall in the. I'm where I fit in. How can I say this? I fit in where I fit in. Do I wear makeup? Absolutely. Do I wear makeup sometimes? Don't wear makeup? Absolutely. Do I have a brush cut? Am I natural? Absolutely. Was I natural for a long period of time and wearing wigs and weaves? Absolutely. Was I ever relaxed? Absolutely. But getting into it, like, my own personal journey of where I made my shift for my own beauty standards, for me, what makes me feel good. I just started just doing what I liked, not caring about what the world may have said it was, if it was, oh, having long hair, if it was being more on the straighter side, if it was looking a certain way. I just made sure Kelly was comfortable. And when I started not caring about nobody else and what everybody else was doing, that's when I felt the most comfortable in my skin. Okay. So yeah, that's how I shifted, for me, for me. So the problems that we have, beauty standards that don't serve us as Black women. Okay. So I have three things listed here and I'm gonna go into them, as I see fit. No, how can I say this? Nothing is more or less. There's no order to this. So, how mainstream beauty idolize often excludes Black women. So, prime example in the beauty industry, and I'm going to get into that later on, in my separate video about, hobbies into passions. Think about the different foundations when you go into Sephora or Ulta or anywhere. I never forget when I went into H Mart. H Mart is an Asian grocery store where they sell all the food and everything like that, all the good produce, and just it's a really nice place to shop. So they have a beauty section inside. And I went in there knowing there was nothing in there for me foundation wise. Okay. And I don't wear blush, so that was never a thing for me. Concealer, I wasn't. But I know they sell Laneige because Laneige is an Asian brand. So I went in because I wanted to get a particular scent that they had for their lip gloss, like a little, fruity little lip gloss. The lady worker said to me, I think I mentioned this in one of my other videos. She said, "We don't have anything for you." And it caught me off guard so bad that my reflexes was zero. I had no comeback. And I was like, I wasn't getting anything anyway. But I really should have said, like, I know, or I wasn't shopping for foundation, or I wasn't shopping for anything. She was just so sharp and I don't want to say nasty, but that was so rude. And I think I was just so surprised and so shocked. I had nothing to say back. So right there, we were excluded. Now I understand, you know, that's an Asian, brand culture and they have a bunch of other Asian brands in there. I get it. They do cater to their own. I get it. But for you to sit and say that there was nothing in there for me, that was so harsh. So harsh. Because I could have got lip gloss. I could have got maybe anything lip gloss wise, or even like skincare for that matter. But that was something that made me really feel right there where I was excluded. I felt excluded. And I don't want to get into the history of why we're excluded when it comes to the Asian culture because my daughter loves the Asian culture and I'm not an individual where I like to, bash, bash, bash. But it's a reason for that. It's a reason for that. But yeah, because I'm all about inclusion. I'm very liberal, so we're not gonna go there. So next up, the pressure to conform, as I mentioned before, straight hair, lighter hair, and anti-aging myths. You know, for me, when you're talking about anti-aging, you can't stop aging. You cannot. You Aging is gonna happen. Can you slow it down? Absolutely. That comes with, taking care of yourself. Just doing what you're supposed to do. Now, anti-aging myths in regards to, oh, use this and it's going to like take you back 15 years. Mm-mm. Whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen. And I can see, like, even for myself, I can tell that I'm aging. I'm gonna be 49, so the aging is definitely, coming. I can see like around my mouth area. I could just see the aging part coming. But it's all about how you care for yourself and the pressures of it, where they feel like you're supposed to be young all the time. You're not going to be young. And what also kills me is like with men, how they sit and say some women like hit the wall, or they look old, or they look this. They don't know they're aging too. They don't look how they looked in their 20s. I do feel like for men, what can cover up them a lot is a beard. you know Beard covers up a lot, because women, we don't have that. We don't have that. And straight hair, lighter hair, going blonde, or being relaxed, and so forth and so on. So those pressures to conform to, like, the Eurocentric style. And these are like some unrealistic standards for Black women, in my opinion, because this can play on your confidence. This can play on your confidence of, oh, I have to look a certain way in order to fit in, and so forth and so on. And you don't want that type of pressure. You don't want that type of pressure. So let's talk about this shift. This shift, redefining beauty on your own terms, and how that might look for you. So let me get into me. Choosing what to embrace. So for me, let me just scoot on down here on my notes. So for me, me choosing to embrace my natural hair, you know, and I went back and forth with that for a while. I've been natural for a long time. I've been natural since maybe 2011, maybe. I gotta go back to my videos, but I know it was my daughter's, either her senior year, my oldest daughter, her junior year, or her senior year in high school. It was after her maybe her senior year, after her debutante ball. I cut my hair. So it was Thanksgiving week, I'll never forget, and I cut my hair and I cut all the relaxed strands off. So I do remember that. So I went into my shift was pretty much me going natural and cutting my hair off and not going back to being relaxed. And even though I may have been relaxed, I did wear wigs at one time, just being transparent. So I didn't fully, like, I had my natural, I did natural videos, but I was going back and forth, because you're dealing with how you want to look, and you're dealing with, what society has going on. So I can admit I did go through that stage, because I saw ladies with the wigs on. I saw that with the weaves. Who didn't want to bust down middle part? You know what I mean? I know I did. So my natural hair would be underneath, and I would wear weaves. And my thing was, as long as I wasn't getting like the creamy crack, we were good. Getting the relaxers, I was good. So I just pretty much embraced my natural hair, and just embraced me as a Black woman. Going from having my natural hair, wearing it out to twist outs, to later on me wearing like a taper cut, and then later on, now here I am at a full blown fade, brush cut, waves and all. I'm just this is my hair, this is my texture. So I'm wearing that. Prioritizing, you know, my skincare over covering up my imperfections. A lot of you know that I do wear makeup, but majority of the time when I go to work, and I do post that on my socials, I don't have on any makeup. So accepting the way I look and how I'm aging and where I am here at approaching 49, I look at how I may look maybe 4 years ago or 2 years ago. It's not a big of a difference, but you do see small differences. Again, you cannot stop the aging process. I have not gotten into Botox. I have not gotten into fillers or anything like that. Am I opposed to any of that? No, I'm not. You know, is that, not embracing your natural? Yes, because you're sitting back and you're trying to fix things that are maybe doing a tug and a pull, but I'm not opposed to it. I'm not opposed to it by any means. I am waiting for certain, if I see individuals get it. I know there's one woman that gets fillers and Botox and stuff, and she looks great. She looks great. Um, but I just never known anybody that's like somebody that I actually know that I can talk on the phone with or go see that actually has it, or that I know that they have it. And I can sit and say, okay, well, they have it. I'm gonna go do it. I don't know anybody like that yet. So hopefully soon so I can be like, all right, girl, I'm gonna go get some. But no. Um, yeah, so prioritizing skincare and over covering up my imperfections, just keeping things the way they are and things like that. But back to the Botox and the fillers. If it's just making you look, more smoother in an area where you may not want to wear concealer, maybe helping with like some hyperpigmentation, that's fine, Because again, we're not born with hyperpigmentation. Those things happen over time, with sun exposure and things like that. We're just not trying to, kill ourselves. Like I mentioned before, wearing makeup as an enhancement and not a mask. And as like right now, I do have on makeup, but you can definitely see my skin. You can definitely see me, and if you know how I look with no makeup on, you can definitely see. So going for a more lighter look, going for a more natural look, just kind of enhance what you have to make you just look a little bit more brighter, a little bit more awakened, and things like that. Letting go of the anti-aging obsession. Okay, I know for me, I do have anti-aging products. I'm not gonna hold you. I'm not gonna sit and say I don't have some because I do share that on my platform. And the reason why I do have them, because again, you can't stop the aging process, but you can slow it down, or you can just help with your skin, exfoliating, taking off that top layer of dead skin, doing masks, hydrating your skin back. It's nothing wrong with that. But thinking you're going to be going to get like there's so much out there now. That's like a whole genre in itself that makes millions and millions of dollars. You don't have to. Sometimes less is best when it comes to your skin. And sometimes we don't even realize that it's what you eat and what you drink that really helps your skin. I know when I'm dehydrated, I'm telling you what I did last week. I was so dehydrated. And I learned this from my daughter because I had the flu, I want to say last month. And you don't have an appetite and you just gotta, you sneeze and you're coughing. I had some Pedialyte. Made me feel so much better. I was so dehydrated. And guess what? I was dehydrated not too long ago. For some reason, I wasn't drinking enough water. I wasn't putting into my body. So I had to go get 2 bottles of Pedialyte. And let me tell you something. I felt a total difference by drinking 2 bottles of Pedialyte, getting them electrolytes back into my system, getting some good salt back into my system, because you don't realize sometimes your skin can be so dry. It's just a matter of something so small. Now, that's what I did for me. Don't go following what I did. Check with your doctors and whatnot on what's good for you, because that's what I did. And baby, I felt so much better. I felt so much more hydrated. My skin didn't feel dry and tight. Because sometimes you can, how can I say this? I know for me, if I don't drink enough water consistently, and I get into my funks where I don't drink my water, it is a habit, but sometimes, like I said, I get in my funks. And when I don't drink my water, I can just tell in my skin. My skin just feels uh, like sandpaper. It may not look like it, but it feels like it. And that's me having to work on that inside to get it better. So in saying all of that, also try to look at other women that looks just like you, skin tone give or take like yours, and see what they're doing so you can see what you can do for yourself. Only way you can learn better and to feel more good about yourself, or better about yourself, if you will, is seeing other women in their black girl magic, black woman magic, if you want to turn it around. And it makes you feel good as well. So yeah. So let's get into the results. So just to kind of give you, like, we've been talking about like the problem with the beauty standards, the shifts in beauty standards, and now we're talking about the results, like having confidence and self-love, for yourself as a black woman. It's hard out here. It's hard out here, but guess what? We ain't letting none of that stop us. Okay. We ain't letting none of that stop us. So how my confidence transformed when I stopped chasing unrealistic beauties. Let me tell you something. I do what fits me. And as you guys know, I keep my makeup very, very simple. I don't care what somebody over here is doing. I don't care what somebody over here is doing. I do what best fits me. Now, I share? Yes, because I want you to know, hey, I'm doing something. It worked for me. It may work for you too. You know what I mean? I can't do what they doing over there. It's a little bit too much because that makeup look is too jazzy for me, too many steps, and I can't do it. So just being a little bit more realistic and not doing the unrealistic. This is a big one right here. Seeing yourself beautiful without external validation. That's a big one. And not just getting it from like male validations, getting it from women validations too. Because sometimes at the end of the day, a lot of times things that we do is not even for the male gaze. It's for the woman gaze. You know, we know that we do so much. And you know, we're like, oh yeah, I know she gonna like that. I know he gonna like that. No, do it for yourself. Do it for yourself and make yourself feel so good. So good. Let me tell you something. I'll never forget. It's been some years now. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and I didn't know when they said, "Oh, she trying to be chosen." I didn't know what that meant. Let me tell you something. I was a little delulu at one point, so delulu, and I never forget. My daughter was saying that to a friend of mine, and I was like, "What that mean? What that mean?" My friend was like, "No, no, 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 no. Go ahead, tell them to keep on." But my daughter knew it at a young age, and I was like, "Why didn't I know that?" But my friend explained to me later, and then my daughter did too. It's about doing things for external validation, no matter what that might have been, and you want to be chosen, you want to be picked, and you want somebody to look at you and things like that. I didn't know that. That was a couple of years, about 2019. Didn't know it, but it's pretty much just doing things for yourself, doing things for yourself, and to get the validation from yourself and not from others. And that's big. That's big. And pretty much the joy of aging gracefully and just authentically. You know, for me, you guys know, I have a whole thing around aging gracefully and, starting over and self care and just, be appreciating where you are now because I sit back and think about all what I may have went through in my 20s, teenage years, my 30s, my 40s, and here I am about to be in my last years of my 40s. I'm going into a whole nother dimension of my life. It's crazy. And I'm going to have more years behind me than I do in front of me. And it just makes me feel grateful for where I am today. Okay. Understand you don't have to be perfect, accept where you are, accept who you are, and just build your own confidence. I know for me, I still back at about the first time I went to a gym. I look at how many gym memberships I've had over the years and how I was so scared to go. Not going. Go for one day. Need a partner. And got a partner. Stop going. Finally going. And now I can go into a gym and it could be full. When I tell you full, and I put my headphones on and I can zone out and I can just do me. And I just sit back and feel like how I come such a long way through the years. And this is all just self experience. And I know I'm not the only one that feels this way. Like we've all been through some things in our life. And you sit back and look at how you've overcome so many different things. And that can be, i.e., me talking about, fitness, going to the gym, relationships, romantic or just, platonic, being friends, work, jobs, how you grow when you really want something, how you willing to put the faith into it to know that you're going to get it. Just anything, just anything, and I know I'm veering off on when it comes to like beauty standards stuff like that, but just tying everything in, so just have confidence, that comes with acceptance. Don't worry about perfection. And ladies, us black women, us 92%, you know, just live your life according to how you see best fits for you. You know, whatever makes you feel good inside and gives you the most confidence that you can have, that's the way you live it. And that's how you live your beauty standards. You don't have to be, the most naturalist thing on the world, and you don't have to be the most, I guess they would say, Eurocentric in the world. You could have a happy medium. And I think for me, I am a happy medium, because I do wear makeup, and I live my life according to how Kelly see fits. But if you enjoyed this conversation that we had, go ahead and subscribe so you won't miss another. In addition to that, go ahead and follow on streaming platforms and check me out on socials at iamKeliB and We Age Graceful. So I will catch you in the next episode.